Hey there, Fletchmall Things Overlanding here, and today is going to be a bit of a different podcast episode. I was talking to someone recently, and they mentioned that they didn't realize what I did for a full-time job. They didn't really know a ton about me, and I'm not going to unveil all of the truths about Fletch or anything in this episode, but I'm going to talk a little bit about myself because I've been doing this for like 5 years. I've amassed a decent amount of subscribers, and I really appreciate you guys and girls, but I haven't really talked about like why I do YouTube, what started it, and kind of what I do for work and kind of where I'm going. So in this episode, I'm just going to talk a little bit about myself. So just a warning, if you don't care about me at all, that is totally fine. You may want to skip this episode, but I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of what brought me into this world, what got me started overlanding, what got me started creating YouTube content, podcast, all that good stuff, what I do for work, and kind of where my goals are, right? Like, where do I want to go as I continue down this path? So if you want to hear more about who Fletch is and how all things overlanding came to be, stay tuned.
Understand where it came from, but you got it, my got it. It began in the land of the sandstorm. I fought it, though I wanted everything to do with what you give to me. Loosening my grip.
All right, guys. So as I mentioned in the intro today, I'm just going to do kind of an honest deep dive about who I am, what I do for work, what my background is, kind of where I grew up, and just kind of everything about myself. So it feels weird, and I've never done an episode like this before, but I get so many questions about it, like, how did you start this? Why are you doing YouTube? Do you make money? Blah, 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 right? Like, I just wanted to kind of break that down and also kind of pull back the curtain a little bit, because I do have some aspirations and some goals to kind of get into the industry of overlanding and the outdoors. And so I feel like doing this and kind of breaking this down in this episode will hopefully give people some background and give you a little bit more information about me. And if any of you guys out there in the listening space, listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube or whatever, are in the overlanding or outdoor space, and you guys are looking for someone that does like customer satisfaction stuff, operations stuff, maybe some light marketing stuff, all that stuff's in my wheelhouse, and I'd love to talk to you. Not saying anything is wrong with my job at all. I'm perfectly happy, but if I could get into that industry, if I could go to expos as part of my job instead of like taking away from my job, that would be amazing, right? So anyways, let's kind of start from the beginning. So who is Fletch? Who am I? I was born and raised in Southern Indiana. I grew up in the Midwest. I've lived in Indiana my whole life. Being from Southern Indiana, of course, a lot of my time was spent outside. We would, build bike paths through the woods and build ramps over creeks and stuff and build lean-tos and camp a lot. We would go out, and my parents would always be like, oh, they'll be back in an hour or two. And then we'd stay out all night, and they'd be like, did you stay out there? And we're like, yeah. So we would just go camping a lot of outdoor stuff, a lot of sports. My dad was an athletic director, so I played all kinds of sports. I mean, we loved roller hockey and football and basketball, and we'd get in fights all the time. My brother and I have a younger brother, and we would just play outside all the time. That was, I was born in 80, so I'm 44 years old now in 2025, about to be 45, I guess. So like, we grew up before cell phones. We grew up before computers were really a thing. So we spent a lot of time outside. We had acorn wars. We'd throw acorns at each other. We'd have BB gun wars. Like, these were the things we did. Firework wars. Everything was war, right? Everything was fighting, shooting. That's what we did back in the day. But it was a lot of fun growing up in Southern Indiana, and it taught me a lot about being outside. It definitely toughened me up. I detasseled corn when I was a really young man, like 12 to 15. I detasseled corn for a few summers and learned the value of hard work, and worked in a couple factories throughout high school and college. So then after I detasseled corn and kind of got old enough to work like a real job, I was playing all kinds of sports. I played trumpet and band. I mean, I did everything. I was at a small high school, so basically whatever you wanted to do, you could do. There wasn't a lot of competition. So not to say I was great at all those sports, but I was decent at most of them, and I was lead trumpet and band. So, I mean, I was pretty good at band, I guess. But I did a lot of that stuff. But then I also, we weren't exactly rich or anything, so I worked a lot. I worked at the local IGA grocery store, did, stocking shelves and cashier and, loading, unloading trucks and things like that. And played sports at the same time, and then would work some, and then I'd come home, and then I'd go to school the next day and play sports and go to work and come home. And so, but I learned a lot about work ethic. And I also, as a result of like that work and then camping a lot and stuff, I learned just general toughness. Like I like to go in sub-zero temperatures. The cold that would scare other people away to me is just kind of an inconvenience, but it's not a deal breaker, right? So then after that, I went to Purdue. I was going to be a veterinarian was my thought originally, and then I hit chemistry and biology in college, and the weed out courses weeded me out. So I ended up with a forensic anthropology degree, which, if you ask me what that means, it basically means I'm unemployable. I can't get a job. You can go and you can like catalog evidence for like a local sheriff's department or something like that, but they pay like 25, 30 grand a year, and you work nights, and there's no progression in that. So instead I went to Enterprise, rent a car. And that was my first kind of like real job out of college. I sold cars. I worked for car dealerships when I was in college, and for a couple months right after I got out of college while I was looking for a full-time job. But Enterprise was actually really formative for me, and it was awesome. Like, they're very big on taking care of customers and understanding the customers and where their concerns come from, and taking care of them, and under promising and over delivering is kind of their mantra. And I've enveloped that into my own personality. So I credit Enterprise with a ton of where I've gotten to this day is from, that 3.5 years that I spent right out of college at Enterprise and got promoted multiple times and ended up as an F&I manager, basically the guy that you see when you buy a car in their car sales division, that does all the paperwork and stuff. That was me. And I learned a ton about sales, and I learned a ton about customer satisfaction, and I learned a ton about managing and hiring and firing and P&Ls and all that good stuff, right? And I loved it. I really enjoyed it. But it was a slog. It was 6 days a week. I had gotten married recently, and we wanted to have kids and stuff, and I was gone 6 days a week from 9 to 7 or 9 to 4 on Saturdays. And it was just, it was too much work. So then I took that finance and insurance title from Enterprise, and I went and applied at some banks and credit unions, and I ended up getting hired as an assistant branch manager at a local credit union. And that was awesome too. That was a ton of fun because it's the same idea, right? It's less sales, which I am not as much a big fan of sales. I don't like to try and convince people to buy things. I don't like tricking people. I don't like that stuff. I like taking care of people, right? So going to a credit union and being able to help people that needed it, that needed help with their finances, that needed loans and things like that was a lot of fun. And then I ended up at Chase Bank. So I worked at another big company like Enterprise. Really quickly realized that they did not care about their customers, right? That was a sales position. They wanted me out there grabbing people out of the lobby, bringing them to my desk, sitting them down, and trying to get them a mortgage, trying to get them a credit card. And so I didn't stay. I stayed there for like 2 years, and then I was like, nope, this is not what I want to do. And then I ended up finally kind of landing in like a combo car sales / entry-level marketing. So I ended up working for a company called Autobase that makes automotive CRM, a customer relationship management software. And they were doing marketing out of it. And they were like, you worked at dealerships, right? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, great, we want to hire you. We'll teach you to do marketing. And so that was kind of my entry into the marketing space. I was there for like 4 or 5 years and learned a ton about marketing, got to do some email newsletters, create some content, all kinds of things. I've historically been a car guy since high school. So like anything to do with cars, that's why I ended up in Enterprise. That's why I ended up in automotive marketing, was car. I'm all about cars. I like racing cars. I like off-roading. I like trucks. I like all of that. So it kind of just made sense. And then I took that marketing stuff and I ended up at a company called Perk, which is a local one here in Indianapolis that they specialized in automotive marketing, you guessed it, but they were more like on the print side, and they were developing a digital side to kind of like do giveaways and incentives on site for car dealerships. And so I kind of got promoted there into like their first implementation manager for the digital side and got to do that for a few years. Then I got recruited away to a tech company, like a tech startup here in town that did like retargeting stuff. So, when you visit a website and then later on you see them like on other websites, or you get emails saying, hey, you left this in your cart, that kind of stuff. They did that. And that was a fun job, but I got hired. And then 3 months later, I got let go with like 16 other people all at once because they didn't hit their fourth quarter sales goals. So I learned really quickly how startup tech companies work, right? Like you get hired, you do a great job, and they're like, we love you, but yeah, we can't pay you, and you're gone. So then I kind of worked my way through a couple other companies. I ended up working at a marketing agency and being kind of like a project manager. And I was like the 9th employee, and then I got promoted to COO, and I was kind of helping to run the ops side of that company and hiring and firing and coaching a team and building a process for how we were going to do marketing and make sure we deliver all the things that we promised to our clients. And that was awesome. That was probably my favorite experience. It ended badly, mainly because of the CEO. It wasn't anything that anybody on the team did. And I still have lifelong friends. I mean, that was 15 years ago, and I'm still friends with most of the people that I worked with there, and it was great. And again, I learned a ton. So I know I'm a generalist when it comes to marketing. I'm not a marketer. I wouldn't call myself that, but I can do a little bit of everything. But what has kind of carried through since my enterprise days and all these jobs is the customer satisfaction side of things is extremely important. I've even taken to calling it perception management. That's kind of what I call it. I've done some consulting work, and I've done a ton of consulting work under my last company that I was at for about 5 years, where we did referral programs. We were setting up software on people's sites. We were helping them to try and get referrals and things like that. And I made a ton of awesome relationships, which has actually led to my current job. But again, throughout all of that, the customer satisfaction, the perception management, being able to kind of like read people, right, and understand when they're getting angry or they're getting upset about something, or being able to proactively know when something is going to probably likely make someone mad or disappoint them, and getting ahead of it is something that I feel like, especially in this day of AI and stuff, is kind of disappearing, right? Like, people just think you should just throw a chat bot on your website and that will solve all your problems. And I don't think that's true. I think you need someone that owns customer satisfaction. I think you need someone that is really good at empathizing with people and then working really hard and taking ownership of finding a solution for them, right? And so that's kind of what I specialize in. That's what I do now. So I work for a company here in Indianapolis where we do tech-enabled home services companies. So we basically it's kind of like, people liken it to like an Angie's List or something like that, but it's not that at all. It is similar that we're curating a list of vetted home services pros. But we're doing it in a very concierge sort of way. So like, I interact with all of our customers. If they need anyone, if they don't see a pro on the website, they contact me, and then I handhold them the whole way through and take care of them. Same with our pros. I'm responsible for managing them and taking care of them and making sure that they feel that they're getting value from the company and that they're getting leads and that we're taking care of them and giving them good, solid leads and asking the right questions to make sure that they get directed to the right company, right? Again, all that being said, like, I like everything that I do. However, the one thing that I've never done is I've never taken this skill set, right? I've never taken this skill set and applied it to something that I'm really passionate about, which is overlanding. So, not saying I'm looking for a job or anything like that, but definitely would love at some point down the road to interact with or talk to an overlanding company that's like, look, we have a product, we've developed this company, we've built it up, but we need help making sure that our customers are satisfied, that they're happy, that they're being proactively communicated with. And again, I've done some consulting with companies doing that and had a lot of success with it. So that's kind of where the future, I think, holds for me. I don't know how far down the road that is, but again, if you own or work for an overlanding company and you're like, dude, we need customer satisfaction help, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Hit me up. But that's kind of where that's all going from a life standpoint. So as far as the YouTube channel goes, the way that kind of came about was, again, about the time that I had kind of wrapped up at that marketing company, and I'd learned a good amount of a number of things. I worked a few other jobs, and then I bought my Xterra, and I was like, I had seen YouTube videos online that were like, this is overlanding. This is what you can do to modify these vehicles. I had historically just done off-roading at like off-road parks and like beating the crap out of your vehicle and just trying to overcome obstacles. And I was like, wow, I can combine my early childhood like camping stuff with off-roading, and I can go explore and see really cool things and like hang out with friends in the woods. Like, that all sounds amazing. So that's kind of what got me started in that. And then again, my smattering of general like marketing knowledge that I had picked up, I was like, I can make a YouTube channel, I can make a Facebook page, I can make a brand that is all things overlanding, right? And I can do that in a way that's fun and that I enjoy, and hopefully someday it grows to the point where I can make some relationships with some companies and maybe get some free gear, and maybe, you know what I mean? Like that, honestly, that was kind of how it started. Was I was like, this is going to be fun, I'll enjoy it, it'll be a fun side hobby that I do, and if someday it ends up like helping me pay for some gear or getting me some free gear or something that makes me be able to go out and explore more and not have to pay for everything, then that would be great. And, it's been 5 or 6 years now of doing this thing, and it's definitely grown, and I'm very happy with where I'm at. My goal would be to get to over 100,000 subscribers. I recently passed 25,000, and that was an amazing milestone, like considering that I've taught myself everything from YouTube. Like, if you are out there in the world and you're like, I want to do this, I want to start this thing, the thing that I will say is there's absolutely nothing there to stop you, right? Like 5 years ago, I did not know how to edit a video. I never really shot a video. I hadn't ever edited anything. I hadn't taken pictures or done photography or edited pictures in Lightroom or done any of that stuff. And YouTube has a ton of awesome people on it that teach you stuff. And so I just watched, I mean, hours and hours, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours probably of YouTube in the last 5, 6, 7 years, learning everything from video editing to tricks of the trade to how do you brand your page? How do you, that subscribe thing in the bottom right-hand corner of your videos? Do you do something that says subscribe, or do you do your logo? And, experts say you shouldn't do your logo because it's not clear what that is, or that you need to click on it to subscribe. So mine is a subscribe button. Like all this stuff I've learned through years and years of learning, right? And I love that. I love that now I can edit video, and in my job I do video editing and I shoot videos, which is cool. Like I never would have called myself a videographer or anyone that could do videos, and now like I can shoot videos for our home services pros that shine a light on them and show what's different and unique about them and what's cool about them. And I learned all that on my own, just on the side, doing the YouTube stuff. So again, if you were doing that, I definitely encourage it. Stick with it. Consistency and frequency is the key, in my opinion. I'm not the fanciest videographer. As you can see, I'm sitting in front of a camera right now on a camping trip. I do try and like switch it up and like do different camera angles and do all that stuff. This one's more of just a heartfelt talk, right? But I mean, like, you can do it. Like, you just have to stick with it. You have to stick with it, and you have to keep doing it. There are a lot of people that were way more talented than me and way better than me that did 6 months of videos, and then they were like, well, I didn't grow fast enough, and they just quit. So, not to poo-poo on myself too much, but like there's nothing special that I'm doing here. And hopefully it's just that, my story resonates with people, that my budget mindedness resonates with people, my Nissan stuff resonates with people. I try not to lose my roots, right? And like go really big with crazy expensive gear and forget about the newer folks like I was 5 years ago, where like I didn't want to spend $40 on a flashlight. I'd buy the $20 one on Amazon to save money and buy more gear, right? So I'm trying to focus on that newbie thing. I'm trying to be educational as much as possible, but that's kind of the focus on the YouTube channel, is like just keep putting out content, try and make it better and better, continue to improve. Don't forget about the new folks like you and I that, started a few years ago. Even at the expense of some of the folks that have been with me for a while that have kind of gotten used to it and now have been on multiple trips, and they're like, the stuff you say is kind of basic, Jason. I get it. I don't fault you. I just worry that if I move on and I go up to like super advanced stuff and it's all trip videos all the time, that like the newer folks then lose some representation, right? So again, that is kind of my focus with the YouTube channel. And, that can be supplemental too to the overlanding space, which is another reason why I'm like, man, someday in the next 5 years or something, I hope that an overlanding company and I can get together and say, you could help with our customer satisfaction. You could help with some of our marketing stuff. As a content creator, you can help shine some light on our products or our services, right? That would be amazing to get into the space and kind of align my hobby life with my work life. So to kind of wrap this up, let's talk a little bit about like things that I like to do, things that I enjoy. I am a video game guy. I have a PlayStation 5. I have an Xbox Series X. I like video games. I play games with my kids. I like Helldivers 2 is awesome. I like Avowed just came out. Atomfall is coming out soon on Xbox Game Pass, so I'll be playing those. I'm not as much of a multiplayer person anymore as the Counter-Strike days, like back in the day, Castle Wolfenstein, my old school peeps know me. But, I love like multiplayer games like Helldivers where you work together and do stuff, cooperate, that kind of thing. I love video games. Like I said, I love trucks, but I also love cars. At some point, when I sell the old truck, I will probably buy some sort of like either a Japanese luxury car or go back to sports cars. I had a 350Z back in the day. I used to autocross and race, and I miss racing and autocrossing quite a bit. My oldest is about to be able to drive. I've got 2 boys, and when he starts to drive, if he wants to get into racing and stuff, then I feel like we both need to get race cars and we need to go race, right? So car stuff is cool. Video game stuff is cool. What else? I enjoy cigars. I like beer. I like bourbon. Okay. Like I like so many things, and I enjoy just going out and spending time in the wilderness, camping with friends, drinking a beer with friends over a campfire is one of my favorite things to do. So, the plan is to continue doing this thing and just keep working on YouTube and keep making videos for you guys and trying to share better and better information and get more and more educational with it if I can, and just grow the channel. So again, to kind of wrap this up, if you are in the overlanding space, if you own or work for an overlanding company, you're listening to this or watching this, and you're interested in talking to me, definitely reach out. Like, I mean, it can't hurt to talk, even if it's years away. Like I just like learning about you guys. I've also considered doing some consulting type stuff. So if you just need some part-time help, or like some help with a lot of the stuff that I've had success with is sort of acting as a third-party company, calling your existing customers after they purchase to see how the experience was, to get you feedback, to help you improve your business, to make you look really good to your customers, because they're like, wow, these guys really care. They have someone actually phone calling me or emailing me and asking me how my experience was, right? Driving reviews, driving referrals, driving repeat business for you. I'm really good at that stuff. So again, if you're interested in that stuff and you own one of those companies, I'd love to talk to you. But anyways, that is enough of me talking about myself. But for those of you that have been interested, for all those of you that send me emails and messages and ask me questions and stuff, that is hopefully like a good sort of background on me and what I've done and where I've been. And if any of you want to talk about anything to do with the overlanding space, I will put contact info in the description down below, but I'd love to talk to you guys. I just, that's part of why I really like doing this, is the relationships that I'm building through the YouTube channel are amazing. Most of my friends that I call friends nowadays are people that I go camping with all the time. They're people that own overlanding companies that I see at expos, right? Like, it's such a cool, unique space where people really just care about helping each other grow and be successful, that I would love to be a part of it. So anyways, I hope that was entertaining for you. As always, in the description below will be links to all my social channels. So if you're not following on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever, feel free to click through those links and follow along. There's also a link to my website where I've got funny overlanding camping themed patches and stickers. I think they're funny and cool. So if you want some patches and stickers, definitely check that out. Also below this video, if you're watching on YouTube, is a join button. That's just kind of a passive way to support the channel. It also gets you early access to the videos. If you're on the podcast, leave a 5-star review, add it to your favorites. That helps a ton. And I hope you guys are enjoying the content. Also in the description below are links to my featured partners. These are all awesome companies. They do really cool stuff. So I try to curate them to give you guys an idea of like really good companies that I actually have experience with, that I've, run their gear for a long period of time, that I think is really high quality stuff. So definitely check those out. Also, if you want to be more involved with all things overlanding, if you want to hang out and chat on Discord 24/7, there is the Patreon link down below. Starts at $5 a month. So if you are interested in that, I'd love to have you over there. We have a bunch of really cool guys in there. We all just kind of share memes and just chat all day in Discord. It's a ton of fun. And then last but not least, there is a link to the Newbie Overlanders page, which is just a totally free Facebook group that I started a couple of years ago. Over 22,500 people in it now. It's awesome. It keeps growing every day. But unlike the big groups, we are bully free. Like, we don't allow a ton of self-promotion. We don't allow bullying or anything like that. So if you want to go to a place where you can learn, where you can ask questions, where you can help people that are newer, if you're more experienced and you don't want to see all the bullying and negativity, that would be a good place for you, and we'd love to have you. But again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I appreciate all you guys, and I look forward to continuing to create this content for you in the future. And thanks for watching and listening. So we'll see you next time. Take care.